My parents demanded, "Pay us $1,400 rent or get out. We don't care if you're paying off student loans." I said, "Okay." I moved out that night. I also took the Wi-Fi router, the streaming passwords, and canceled the phone family plan I was paying for. They called begging. A week later because they couldn't apply for jobs without internet. So I'm sitting at my desk when my dad barges into my room without knocking and drops this bomb on me. I need to start paying $1,400 a month in rent or find somewhere else to live. No discussion, no warning, just a flat demand delivered like he was asking me to pass the salt. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with $47,000 in student loans that I've been aggressively paying down for the last 2 years. But apparently that doesn't matter to them. Let me back up and give you guys some context because this situation didn't happen in a vacuum. I'm 26, graduated from Arizona State 4 years ago with a degree in accounting. I've been living at home since graduation, making a calculated decision to destroy my student debt fast. Started with $63,000, got it down to $47,000 in 2 years by making massive payments every month. That's $16,000 paid off, while most people my age are making minimum payments. The arrangement was simple. My parents said I could stay rent-free until I got my loans under control. They suggested it. My mom talked about how smart it was to avoid rent and focus on debt. My dad agreed. So I moved back with a plan. Aggressive loan payments, then move out debt-free or close to it. While I was busy being responsible, my parents were the opposite. My dad retired from manufacturing 3 years ago at 58 because he wanted to enjoy life. Noble idea, except he retired without doing the math on whether they could afford it. My mom never worked, so their entire retirement is funded by my dad's pension and Social Security. They're not exactly swimming in cash. When I first moved back, they seemed financially stable. House paid off, older cars, no obvious money problems. But over the last year, I started noticing things. Credit card bills piling up. My mom clipping coupons obsessively. My dad having heated phone conversations about payment plans. The signs were there, but I figured it wasn't my business. Except they couldn't manage. Turns out, they'd been living beyond their means for years. My dad's pension is about $2,200 a month. Add Social Security and my mom's spousal benefit, they're pulling in maybe $3,800 total. Sounds like enough, right? Not when your lifestyle costs $5,000 a month. My parents refuse to adjust their spending when their income drops. They've got every streaming service. Eat out 4 times a week minimum. My mom shops constantly. My dad bought a boat last year, used it twice, decided boating was boring, and now it sits in the driveway depreciating while he makes payments. I watched all this and kept quiet because I'm not their financial advisor. I was focused on my own goals. Then 3 months ago, things got weird. My dad started making comments about how nice it must be to have all that disposable income. My mom would mention how much I must be saving. The comments got more frequent and pointed. Last month, my dad sat me down for a family financial discussion. He pulled out a spreadsheet, which should have been my first red flag. The spreadsheet showed all their monthly expenses. At the bottom was a line item, rental income, with $1,400 projected. That's exactly what would cover their monthly shortfall. My dad started his pitch about how it's only fair I contribute since I'm an adult living in their house. He threw out the old, "when I was your age" speech. Never mind that when he was 22, you could rent an apartment for $300 a month. But sure, let's pretend economies are comparable. I pointed out our original agreement. Rent-free while I paid down loans. We had a deal. My dad waved it off. Times change, he said. They needed the money now. I asked how much notice I'd have if I needed to find a new place. He said I could stay if I paid rent. If not, I should start looking immediately. I went to my room to run numbers. The math was brutal. If I paid $1,400 monthly, I'd slash loan payments from $1,300 to maybe $400. That would extend my payoff by years and cost thousands in interest. Or move out, pay $1,200 for a studio, and be in basically the same situation but with my own space. The smart move was obvious. Move out. But I decided to try negotiation first. I went downstairs and proposed $600 a month. My dad rejected it immediately. $1,400 or nothing. I asked about $800. Nope. That's when I realized this wasn't about money. This was about control. They wanted to reassert authority. This demand was about putting me in my place. I asked for a week. My dad said I had 12 days. I spent them apartment hunting and running numbers. Here's what I figured out. I'd been paying way more than my expenses. Family phone plan? $180 monthly for 4 lines. Mine, my parents, and my sister's who lives in Colorado. Internet? $90 monthly on my autopay. Streaming services? I paid for 4 out of 7 and had all the logins. I added it up. Phone, internet, streaming. I was subsidizing $350 monthly. They wanted $1,400 in rent while I already covered $350 worth of services they used daily. The more I thought about it, the more irritated I got. They wanted to charge me $1,400 in rent while I was already covering $350 worth of services they used daily. Services they apparently couldn't live without based on how much time my dad spent watching HBO and how often my mom binged reality shows on Hulu. So I made my decision. I'd move out. But I'd do it my way. I found a studio apartment about 20 minutes away for $1,100 a month. Not ideal, but it was clean, safe, and available immediately. I called the landlord, passed the credit check, and signed a lease that started in 1 week. Then I started planning my exit strategy. I didn't tell my parents I'd found a place. When my dad asked if I'd made a decision about the rent, I just said I was still thinking about it. He seemed satisfied with that answer, probably assuming I'd cave eventually because that's what I always did. Growing up, I was the easy kid, the one who didn't cause problems, the one who went along with whatever they decided. He was counting on that pattern continuing. Moving day was a Tuesday. My parents had appointments that afternoon. They left around 1 p.m. I'd taken the day off, told my boss family emergency. I'd been quietly packing for 3 days in the garage. My friend Jake showed up with his truck at 1:30. We worked fast. 2 hours later, my room was empty except for their furniture. Before leaving, I collected my property. Wi-Fi router? Mine. I bought it 2 years ago. Unplugged it, packed it. Living room streaming stick? Mine. Took it. I changed every streaming password. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Apple TV. Changed passwords, removed their devices, logged out everywhere. Then I called the carrier, split my line onto its own plan. Their lines and my sister's stayed on the family plan. Now their responsibility. Internet was trickier. I called and canceled entirely, effective immediately. The rep tried offering deals. I held firm. Cancel today. I left a note on the kitchen table. I've decided to move out rather than pay the rent you demanded. Found my own place and moved my belongings today. Wi-Fi canceled. Family phone plan is your responsibility. Streaming access removed. You wanted $1,400 a month. I'll pay $1,100 to live independently. My new address is on file with the post office. Jake and I loaded the last box. I drove away feeling lighter than I had in years. The apartment was small, but mine. I set up my bed, plugged in my router with new internet service, ordered Chinese food. My phone started ringing around 6 p.m. My dad. Declined. He called again. Declined. My mom called. Also declined. Text messages rolled in. I ignored them, turned off my phone, spent the evening unpacking. Next morning, I had 17 missed calls and 30 texts. They started confused, got angry, shifted to desperate. My dad wanted to know where I was. My mom was crying. My sister sent question marks about her phone. I didn't respond. Went to work, came home, gym, dinner. Normal Wednesday. Thursday brought more calls and texts. I finally responded Thursday evening. I moved out like you suggested. I'm fine, taking some space. I'll reach out when ready. His response was immediate. You can't just leave like that. We need to talk. You took the Wi-Fi router. Me. I took my property. You wanted $1,400 in rent. I chose to pay rent somewhere else. What's there to discuss? Dad, that's not the same thing. You're being childish. I muted the conversation. Friday was quieter. My sister got her own phone plan but was annoyed. I sent her a thumbs up. Weekend passed uneventfully. I set up my apartment, enjoyed the silence. Monday morning, unknown number called. I answered. Hi, this is Janet from Arizona Department of Economic Security. I'm trying to reach Kevin or Patricia about their unemployment benefits application. The email keeps bouncing back. I blinked. Wrong number. I'm their son. Do you have a current contact for them? We can't reach them about completing their application. That's when it clicked. They were applying for unemployment. Couldn't complete the application because they had no internet. I gave Janet my dad's cell and hung up. They were in such bad shape they needed unemployment benefits and couldn't complete applications because I canceled the internet they used for free. I didn't call to tell them. Their problem. Tuesday afternoon, my dad finally cracked. He called from a number I didn't recognize, probably a friend's phone since I'd been ignoring his calls. I answered without thinking. We need to talk, he said, skipping any greeting. This has gone on long enough. I'm at work, I replied, which was true. I can't talk right now. Then come by the house after work. Your mother is beside herself. You can't just cut us off like this. I didn't cut you off. I moved out, which is what you told me to do if I didn't want to pay rent. That's not what I meant, and you know it. We thought you'd be reasonable about this. I was reasonable. You wanted $1,400 a month. I found a place for $1,100 a month. I saved $300 and gained my independence. Seems pretty reasonable to me. He sputtered for a second. You took the Wi-Fi router. Do you have any idea how much trouble that's caused? I took my router that I paid for. You're welcome to buy your own. Best Buy has them in stock. We can't afford that right now. We need internet for important things. Then I guess you'll need to budget for it. Isn't that what adults do? Make financial decisions and live with the consequences? I could hear him breathing heavily, trying to control his temper. Your mother can't even apply for jobs without internet. We've been trying to get to the library, but their computers are always booked. There it was. The admission I'd been waiting for. They needed internet to apply for jobs. Jobs they needed because they'd overspent themselves into financial trouble and now couldn't afford their lifestyle. The same lifestyle they'd wanted me to subsidize to the tune of $1,400 a month. Sounds like a tough situation, I said, keeping my voice neutral. I'm sure you'll figure something out. You're resourceful adults. Don't be a smartass. This is serious. Your mother is stressed out, I'm stressed out, and you're sitting there acting like none of this is your problem. It's not my problem, Dad. You made it very clear that if I didn't want to pay rent, I should find somewhere else to live. So I did. You got what you wanted. I'm out of your house. That's not what we wanted. We wanted you to contribute to the household like an adult. And I wanted to stick to our original agreement where I could live rent-free while paying off my student loans. But you changed the terms without discussion, so I changed my terms too. That's how this works. He went quiet for a moment. Then, in a calmer voice, look, maybe we can work something out. Come back home, we'll negotiate a fair rent, you can reconnect the internet and the phone plan. We can all sit down and figure this out like a family. And there it was, the real reason for the call. They didn't want to reconcile. They wanted their internet back. They wanted me to pay for their phone service again. They wanted the free streaming services and the built-in tech support. They wanted the $350 a month in subsidies I'd been providing without realizing it. No thanks, I said simply. I like my new place. I like my independence. I like not having arbitrary financial demands thrown at me. I'm good where I am. You're being selfish. We're your parents. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. You owe us. That old argument. The parent debt that can never be repaid. The emotional mortgage with interest that compounds daily. I don't owe you $1,400 a month for the rest of my life because you did the basic job of being parents, I said. And I definitely don't owe you free internet, phone service, and streaming services on top of it. You want those things back? You can pay for them like everyone else. Your mother is crying right now because of what you're doing to this family. I'm not doing anything to this family. I moved out because you told me to. Everything else is just a natural consequence of that decision. If Mom's upset, maybe she should talk to the person who gave me the ultimatum in the first place. I heard my mom's voice in the background, muffled but definitely crying. My dad said something to her, then came back to the phone. Can you at least give us the streaming passwords back? That's not going to cost you anything. Actually, it does cost me. About $40 a month across the services I pay for. You want them, you can subscribe to them yourself. This is ridiculous. Over some streaming services? You're right, it is ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as demanding $1,400 in rent from your son who's trying to pay off student loans while you're buying boats and eating out 4 times a week. Silence. Then, how do you know about the boat? Dad, it's sitting in the driveway. Everyone knows about the boat. The whole neighborhood knows about the boat. It's been sitting there unused for 11 months. More silence. I could practically hear him deflating on the other end of the line. Look, I said, softer now. I'm not trying to hurt you guys. But I'm also not going to bankrupt myself to fund your lifestyle. You wanted me to pay market rate rent while secretly covering hundreds in additional expenses every month. That's not reasonable, and you know it. I made the choice that was best for me. You'll figure out your situation, just like I figured out mine. We can't afford internet right now, he said quietly. The bills are tight. Then you should probably sell the boat, I suggested. That would free up, what, $200 a month in payments? Plus whatever you could get for it. That would cover internet and streaming services with money left over. I can't sell it. I'm underwater on the loan. Of course he was. Classic dad move. Buy something on impulse, use it twice, then be stuck with depreciation and negative equity. Then maybe cut back on eating out, I offered. or cancel some of your streaming services. The same financial advice you'd give anyone else in your situation. He didn't respond to that. We sat in silence for a moment, both knowing this conversation was over, but neither wanting to be the one to end it. Finally, he said, "Your mother really wants to talk to you. Tell Mom I'll call her when I'm ready. Right now, I need space." "When will you be ready?" "I don't know, Dad. When I feel like our relationship isn't contingent on how much money I can provide. When you can see me as your son instead of a source of rental income. When you can acknowledge that demanding $1,400 a month from someone paying off student loans while you're making boat payments was maybe not the most reasonable parenting decision." He hung up without saying anything. I sat at my desk staring at my phone, feeling a weird mix of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction because I'd stood my ground. Sadness because it had come to this in the first place. Wednesday brought a new development. My sister called, which was unusual because we typically just texted. "What the hell did you do?" she asked, skipping pleasantries. "Hi to you too." Mom called me crying. "Dad's furious. They're saying you abandoned them and took all the internet and phones with you. What happened?" I gave her the short version. The rent demand, the ultimatum, my decision to move out, the services I'd been paying for that I canceled when I left. She was quiet for a moment, processing. "Okay, so they were charging you $1,400 a month?" "They wanted to. I moved out instead. And you were paying for internet and phones? And most of the streaming services. About $350 a month total. So they wanted you to pay $1,400 in rent while you were already subsidizing $350 worth of services?" "Pretty much." She let out a low whistle. "That's messed up. But did you have to take everything with you?" "Mom says they can't even apply for jobs online now. They can go to the library, or they can pay for internet like normal people. I'm not their tech support and ATM anymore." "Fair enough. Just warning you. Mom's going to call and guilt trip you. She's really upset. She's upset because they can't mooch off my services anymore. Not because I moved out. If they actually cared about me moving out, Dad wouldn't have given me an ultimatum in the first place." My sister sighed. "You're not wrong. They've been having money problems for a while. Dad's retirement didn't go as planned." "Yeah, I noticed. Hard to maintain a pre-retirement lifestyle on a retirement income. The boat was a mistake," she admitted. "I told him not to buy it, but he didn't listen." We talked for a few more minutes, mostly commiserating about our parents' financial decisions. She promised to run interference where she could, but made it clear she wasn't getting in the middle of this. Smart move on her part. Thursday, my mom finally called from a friend's phone. I answered because I knew she'd keep trying until I did. "Honey," she started, voice shaky, "please come home. We can work this out." "Mom, I have a home now. My apartment. I'm not coming back." "But we miss you. The house is so empty without you here." "You gave me an ultimatum. Pay $1,400 in rent or leave. I chose to leave. You can't be surprised by this." "Your father didn't mean it like that. He just thought you should contribute more since you're doing so well financially." "I'm not doing well financially, Mom. I have $47,000 in student loans. That's why I was living at home in the first place, remember? The original plan was for me to save money and pay down debt. But we didn't think you'd just leave and take everything with you. I took my belongings and canceled services that I was paying for. That's pretty standard when you move out." She started crying, which I'd been expecting. "We can't even watch our shows anymore. Your father's been so stressed and watching TV was his way to relax. He can still watch HBO Max. That's his subscription. But that's only one channel. We used to have everything. You used to have everything that I paid for. Now you have what you pay for. That's how it works. Can't you just give us the passwords back? We're your parents." "Mom, those services cost money every month. Money I'm now using to pay rent and rebuild my savings. If you want them, subscribe to them yourself. We can't afford it right now. Then you can't afford them. Plenty of people live without multiple streaming services. You'll survive." More crying. In the background, I could hear my dad saying something. My mom pulled the phone away briefly, then came back. "Your father needs to talk to you about the phone bill." "I already talked to him about the phones." I split off my line. "You're responsible for yours and his and my sister's." "But the bill went up. It's $140 now instead of $180. I did the mental math. If the family plan was $180 for 4 lines, and my individual plan was $50, then their plan should be $130 for 3 lines, not $140. "Did you downgrade the plan?" "No, why would we? Because you don't have 4 lines anymore. You have 3. You should call the carrier and adjust to a 3-line plan." "Can't you just call them? You're so much better at these things. No, Mom. That's your account now. You need to manage it. She started crying harder. I don't understand why you're doing this to us. We just wanted you to help out a little. You didn't want me to help out a little. You wanted me to pay $1,400 a month while continuing to provide free services. That's not helping out. That's being financially used. We would never use you. You literally had a budget line item called rental income with my contribution listed. That's pretty much the definition of using me. Silence. Then, quietly, how did you know about that? Dad showed me his spreadsheet. The one where you'd calculated that $1,400 from me would cover your monthly shortfall. More silence. Then my dad's voice, having grabbed the phone. That was just planning. We weren't using you. Dad, I'm an accountant. I know exactly what that spreadsheet was. You overspent your retirement income and decided I should cover the gap. When I refused, you're upset because now you have to actually budget like everyone else. That's not fair. We gave you a place to live. You offered me a place to live rent-free while I paid down loans. That was the deal. You changed the deal. I responded by leaving. These are consequences. You're being incredibly selfish and immature about this. I'm being financially responsible. You should try it sometime. He hung up on me. I set down my phone and went back to making dinner. Pasta with marinara sauce, simple and cheap. I was doing fine financially, contrary to their beliefs, but I was also learning to budget better now that I was living independently. Friday was blissfully quiet. No calls, no texts. I started to think maybe they'd finally accepted the situation. Saturday morning destroyed that hope. My phone rang at 8 a.m. with a number I didn't recognize. I answered, groggy. This is Sarah from the public library. I'm calling about a note your parents left asking us to contact you regarding internet access. I sat up, suddenly very awake. I'm sorry, what? Your parents came in yesterday and left a note with our front desk. They said they needed to use our computers to apply for jobs, but all our public access computers are booked out for weeks. They asked if we could call you to see if you'd help them get internet set up at their house since apparently you're the one who canceled it? The audacity of these people. They'd actually gone to the library and left a note asking librarians to call me on their behalf. I'm sorry you got dragged into this, I told Sarah. My parents and I are having a family disagreement. I moved out of their house and canceled the internet service that I was paying for. If they need internet, they'll have to set it up themselves. Oh, Sarah said, sounding uncomfortable. I understand. I'll let them know I reached you. You can also let them know that internet service installation is pretty simple. They can call any provider and have it set up within a few days. They don't need me for that. After I hung up, I sat there marveling at the situation. They'd actually recruited a librarian to guilt-trip me. That was a new low. Sunday brought the intervention. My phone rang from another unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered, Hey man, it's Dan. My uncle, my dad's brother. Uncle Dan, let me guess, Dad called you to talk sense into me? He laughed. Am I that predictable? Yeah, your dad called me. Said you guys are having issues. Wanted me to see if I could help mediate. I liked Dan. He was reasonable, didn't take sides, and generally stayed out of family drama. If anyone could have a rational conversation about this, it was him. You want my side of it? I asked. I got your dad's side. Figured I should hear yours before I form an opinion. I laid it out for him. The original agreement, the sudden rent demand, the spreadsheet with rental income, the services I'd been paying for, my decision to move out, and their reaction since. Dan listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then, so they wanted $1,400 in rent, while you were already covering $350 in services and trying to pay off $47,000 in loans? Basically. Ew. And instead of negotiating, they gave you an ultimatum? Yep. And now they're mad because they don't have internet to apply for jobs they need because they're financially struggling? That about covers it. He sighed. Your dad didn't mention the part about the services you were paying for, or the loans. He made it sound like you were freeloading and threw a tantrum when they asked you to contribute. Of course he did. For what it's worth, I think you made the right call. Your parents' financial problems aren't your responsibility. They're retired adults who should know how to budget. Thank you. It's nice to hear someone say that. That boat was a stupid purchase, Dan added. I told him that when he bought it. Nobody needs a boat in Arizona when they're on a fixed income. We talked for a few more minutes. Dan promised he'd talk to my dad, but made it clear he wasn't going to pressure me to help them out. He even offered to help me move furniture if I needed it, which I appreciated. After we hung up, I felt better. At least one person in the family understood where I was coming from. Monday started a new work week, and I was determined to focus on my job and my life instead of family drama. That lasted until about 2 p.m., when I got an email from my dad. The subject line was formal request, which was very on-brand for him. The email was 3 paragraphs of corporate speak, basically asking me to reconsider my decision to cancel the internet and phone services. He mentioned multiple times that this was creating hardship for them, and that as their son, I should care about their well-being. I almost deleted it without responding. Then I decided to reply, matching his formal tone. Thank you for your email. After careful consideration, I must decline your request to restore internet and phone services that I was previously funding. As an independent adult with my own financial obligations, I'm unable to subsidize services for other households, including my parents. I understand this creates inconvenience, and I sympathize with your situation. However, I'm confident you'll find alternative solutions that fit within your budget. Best regards. Professional, polite, and completely inflexible. I hit send and went back to work. His response came an hour later. This is not how family treats each other. I didn't reply. Tuesday brought my mom's turn at email outreach. Hers was much more emotional, talking about how much they missed me, how the house felt empty, how they just wanted their son back. Buried in the emotional appeals was a request for me to come to dinner on Friday so we could talk things out. I responded, I appreciate the dinner invitation, but I don't think it's a good idea right now. I need more time and space before we can have a productive conversation. I'm doing well in my new place and hope you're both adjusting to the changes. I'll reach out when I'm ready to reconnect. She replied within minutes. When will you be ready? Your father and I are getting older. We don't have unlimited time. The guilt trip was strong with that one, implying I should rush to reconcile because they might die soon. Classic manipulation tactic. I didn't respond to that one either. Wednesday, my sister called again. Mom asked me to ask you to come to dinner Friday. Already declined the invite. I figured, but I promised I'd ask. For what it's worth, they're really struggling without internet. They can get internet anytime they want. It's not my problem anymore. I know. I'm just saying, from their perspective, you're being pretty harsh. From my perspective, they gave me an ultimatum and are now mad that I called their bluff. She sighed. Fair point. Just wanted you to know Dad's been in a mood all week. He applied for some part-time work at Home Depot, but they require an online assessment before the interview. He's been trying to do it at the library but keeps losing his spot before he finishes. Part of me felt bad. A very small part. The rest of me remembered the spreadsheet and the boat payment and the 4 times a week eating out. He can pay for internet and finish the assessment at home, I said. Problem solved. He says they can't afford it. Then he can sell the boat. He won't sell the boat. Then he doesn't want a solution bad enough. My sister laughed, the sound tired. You sound like me when I try to give them financial advice. Because you're right. They want sympathy without making changes. That's not how money works. We ended the call on good terms. She promised to keep me updated but wasn't going to push me to reconcile. I appreciated that. Thursday evening, I came home from the gym to find my dad's car parked outside my apartment building. He was leaning against it, arms crossed, looking every bit like a disappointed father from a TV drama. We need to talk, he said as I approached. How did you get my address? Your sister told me. Don't be mad at her. I pressed her hard. I made a mental note to talk to her about information security later. I don't have anything to say to you right now, Dad. Well, I have things to say to you. Can we go inside and talk like adults? No. You showing up at my apartment uninvited is not adult behavior. It's borderline stalking. He flinched at that. I'm your father. I'm not stalking you. You are my father who I specifically asked for space from. You showing up here violates that request. I wouldn't have to show up here if you'd answer my calls. I don't answer your calls because I don't want to talk to you right now. That's not an invitation to ambush me at home. We stood there in the parking lot, staring at each other. He looked older suddenly, tired. The retirement that was supposed to be relaxing was clearly stressing him out. Your mother can't sleep, he said finally. She's worried about you. I'm fine. You can tell her that. She wants to hear it from you. Then she can respect my request for space and wait until I'm ready to talk. When will that be? How long are you going to punish us? I'm not punishing you. I'm living my life independently, which is what you told me to do. That's not what I meant. Then maybe you should have been clearer. Maybe you should have negotiated instead of issuing ultimatums. Maybe you should have considered that demanding $1,400 from someone with $47,000 in student loans was unreasonable. He rubbed his face with both hands. We're in trouble financially. Real trouble. I didn't want to admit it, but we are. I figured. The unemployment applications kind of gave it away. We need help. I'm not giving you $1,400 a month. I'm not asking for $1,400. I'm asking for something, anything, just to get us through this rough patch. I looked at him standing there, basically begging, and felt a complicated mix of emotions. This was my dad, the guy who taught me to ride a bike, who came to my baseball games, who helped me with math homework. He was also the guy who tried to use me as a financial bailout without considering my own struggles. Sell the boat, I said finally. I told you, I'm underwater on it. I'd still owe money after selling. How much? About $3,000. And what are the monthly payments? $215. I did the math in my head. So you're paying $215 a month for something you don't use. If you sold it, you could take the $3,000 loss, save the $215 a month, and have enough for internet, a streaming service, and breathing room in your budget. That's the smart financial move. I can't just take a $3,000 loss. You're already taking a loss. You're just spreading it out over time with interest. The boat depreciates every month you don't sell it. You're hemorrhaging money to avoid admitting you made a mistake. He didn't have an answer for that. Dad, I'm not your financial rescue plan. You made choices that put you in this position. The boat, the overspending, the failure to budget for retirement. Those were your choices. I'm dealing with the consequences of my choices by paying off my student loans. You need to deal with the consequences of yours. I never thought my own son would abandon me like this. I didn't abandon you. I moved out because you gave me an ultimatum. Everything after that is just you facing reality without my subsidies. He stood there for a long moment, then got in his car without another word. I watched him drive away, then went inside and locked the door. That Friday, exactly 1 week after their initial attempts to contact me, my mom sent a text. Your father sold the boat today. We're getting internet installed Monday. I hope you're happy. I replied, glad you found a solution. She didn't respond. The following Tuesday, I got a call from my dad's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. I got the Home Depot job, he said without preamble. Start next Monday. Congratulations. Your mother starts at the grocery store on Wednesday. That's good. Silence for a moment. Then, we had to cancel most of the streaming services. Kept Netflix, that's it. Makes sense financially. We're eating at home now. Your mother's learning to cook again. I didn't say anything to that. The house feels different without you here, he said finally. Dad, I need to go. I'm at work. Right, of course. He hung up. 2 weeks later, my sister called with an update. So Mom's actually kind of good at her grocery store job. She got Employee of the Month last week. Seriously? Yeah. Apparently she's really good with customers. They love her. And Dad's doing the whole Home Depot thing. He's in the garden section, giving people advice on plants and stuff. He seems less stressed, honestly. That's good, I guess. They're still tight on money, but they're managing. No more eating out. Mom clips coupons like it's an Olympic sport. Dad brown bags his lunch. It's weird seeing them actually budget. They should have been doing that all along. I know. But here's the thing. Mom asked me to ask you something. I sighed. What? They want to know if you'd come to Thanksgiving dinner. It's September. She's planning ahead. She wants to know if you'll come. No pressure, no drama, just dinner. I thought about it. I'll think about it. That's all she's asking. Just think about it. 3 months went by. I kept paying down my loans, kept living in my studio apartment, kept working. My parents and I exchanged maybe 5 texts total in that time. Nothing substantial, just basic check-ins. Then Thanksgiving week rolled around. My sister texted, Mom wanted me to remind you about dinner Thursday, 3 p.m. She's making turkey. No expectations, just an invitation. I showed up at 2:45 p.m. on Thursday with a store-bought pie. My dad answered the door, looking older but somehow healthier. The stress lines around his eyes were different. Less panicked, more tired but manageable. You came, he said. I came. My mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Dinner's almost ready. Your sister's in the living room. It was the most awkward Thanksgiving I'd ever experienced. We sat around the table making small talk about weather and my sister's job, and literally anything except the elephant in the room. Nobody mentioned the boat. Nobody mentioned the rent demand. Nobody mentioned me moving out or taking the Wi-Fi router. After dinner, while my mom and sister were doing dishes, my dad pulled me aside. I need to say something, he started. Dad, no, let me finish. What I did was wrong. The rent demand, the ultimatum, all of it. We were desperate, and instead of being honest about our situation, I tried to make it your problem. That wasn't fair. I didn't respond. I'm not asking you to move back. I'm not asking for money. I'm just saying I was wrong. You were right to leave. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Dad? You gave me an ultimatum and I took you up on it. Now you're working and Mom's working and you're managing your finances. That's how it should be. He nodded slowly. The guy who bought the boat overpaid for it. I still took a loss, but not as bad as I thought. Use that money to pay off some credit cards. Good. We're not rich, but we're making it work. Your mother actually likes her job. I never thought I'd say that. People surprise you sometimes. He looked at me then. Really looked at me. You're not coming back, are you? No. Even though we're doing better now? I've got my own place, Dad. My own life. That's not going to change. Will you at least visit sometimes? Your mother would like that. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Before I left, my mom gave me a container of leftover turkey and a hug that lasted about 3 seconds longer than comfortable. Come for Christmas if you want, she said quietly. No pressure. I took the leftovers and drove back to my apartment. Christmas came and I didn't go. Sent a card with a $50 gift card to their favorite restaurant instead. My sister said they used it for a date night, their first one in months. New Year's rolled around and my dad sent me a text at midnight. Happy New Year. Proud of you for standing your ground. Takes guts. I stared at that text for a solid 5 minutes before responding. Happy New Year. It's March now. 6 months since I moved out. My student loans are down to $38,000. Another year and change and they'll be gone completely. I'm still in my studio apartment. Still living my life independently. My parents and I have dinner together maybe once a month. It's still awkward, but less so each time. They don't ask me for money. I don't offer. We talk about surface-level stuff mostly. Their jobs, my job, weather, sports. Last week, my dad sent me a photo. It was him and my mom in their work uniforms, standing in front of their house. The caption read, 90 days without eating out. Your mother's become a legitimate cook. Who knew? I sent back a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.